Russian athletes will find out today whether they'll be allowed to compete in next month's Rio Olympics as their country stands accused of carrying out a mass state-sponsored doping program.
Yes, the World Anti-Doping Agency says that Russian officials manipulated hundreds of its athletes' drugs tests to improve their performance at international competitions. Former Olympic athlete Roger Black joins us in the studio. Former Olympic swimmer Sharron Davies joins us from Bradford-upon-Avon. Good to see you both. Well, Roger, I mean, this is kind of spy story stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because they were keeping, this is at the Sochi Winter Olympics 2014, they had a whole store of fresh urine. How handy.
It's incredible. I mean, it is like a spy story. What they're saying is that that athletes were providing clean urine weeks or months before the games. That was frozen, and during the games, when they had their urine sample taken, it was being swapped over.
Yeah.
And
by a Secret Service guy disguised as a sewage and plumbing engineer.
I mean, you couldn't write the script, could you? I mean, it's extraordinary.
Can you think of one good reason, Roger? And we make a joke of every time we have Roger on this show, it's about doping.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it is. Can you think of one good reason, given the scale of this, given how sophisticated the cheating has been and how widespread, is there a good reason why Russia should not now be thrown out of the Olympics?
I think if you believe in what the Olympics stands for, if you believe in the future of the Olympics, then Russia can't be allowed to compete at the Olympic Games, because not because it's a few individuals who may have individually cheated, but because it seems to be state cheating. I mean, it's endemic. But one good reason, I suppose the only reason, is to defend the innocent athlete. And are we assuming that every Russian athlete that you watch has taken drugs? We don't know the answer to that. But are you assuming that?
Because, to be honest, I am. The problem is, I'm also assuming a lot of other athletes from a lot of other countries we know have been doping, and we know may well be doping here. Let's go to Sharron Davies. Sharron, what do we do with the Russians, given it looks like they've all been at it, or certainly a large number of them have been at it, sponsored by their state?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think we have any choice, or the IOC don't have any choice, other than to ban the whole of the team. You know, we've had this problem in the past with the East German system, and the IOC refused to do anything about it. Many athletes were cheated out of medals, but also you've got to look at the long-term effect on those East German athletes. And no one is actually talking about maybe the Russian athletes who don't particularly want to take the drugs, but are being told they have to because they want to win medals for their country. So I think they actually have a duty of care to look after both athletes, to be honest with you.
Sharron, how many medals do you think you were cheated out of because of doping?
It's difficult to say, but every single one of my world, European and Olympic medals were behind East Germans, and only East Germans, so quite a few, I think.
You see, I mean, how does that feel on an emotional level to know that you've almost certainly been cheated out of winning better medals?
Yeah. Very frustrating. I mean, incredibly frustrating at the time as well. You know, knowing what they were doing, knowing how obvious it was, it just was incredibly frustrating. And if you look at Twitter now, you look at the number of athletes that are calling for something to be done, they don't want to be standing up against Russians. And I know Roger talked about the innocent few Russians that may be standing there. There is an opportunity for those, if they have been living outside of Russia and been tested with different systems, to be able to appeal to the IOC and compete, you know, under an international banner. But they are very, very few. The majority of Russian athletes stay inside of Russia for one very good reason.
OK, but let me play devil's advocate now with both of you. You're two great British athletes. Roger, how sure can we be that every member of Team GB is going to be clean at this Olympics, given what we now know about just how widespread doping has been?
I think the difference is that this isn't. We've had individuals who have been proven to have cheated, Dwayne Chambers, etc., over the past. We're talking about individuals. I think Sharron will agree with me. As a British athlete, you feel the vast majority of people that you're watching are clean. I will always stand by that. This is different because this isn't about a few individuals in Russia. This is about the country supporting the system. So, but you can't be sure. But the reason this is such a big deal is that when you're watching any Russian athlete now, you will probably assume that they could be taking drugs. And that's the big difference. This is a whole nation we're talking about.
Yeah. All right, Roger Black, good to talk to you.
They are taking the pee quite literally.
and then
swapping it over through a little mouse.
Absolutely extraordinary.
And Sharron,
cheating.
Thanks very much indeed as well.
Welcome.
And if the Queen were to be so bold as to arrive with her large sword, tap you on the shoulder, arise Sir Andy?
I don't think you know until something like that happens, but it would obviously be, yeah, it would be amazing to be recognised